You ever notice how Gotham feels different when it's cold? Not just cold, quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear water dripping off of rooftops and no one's talking because they don't want to lose the warmth in their mouths. I don't want to review anything today, not really. Not here to rank episodes or list story beats. I want to talk about snow and silence and what happens to a city like Gotham when the world slows down and freezes over. Welcome to the Gotham and Beyond podcast. I am your host, Vince. Today, we're talking a little about snow mechanics in your game. And I'm just going to kind of set the mood talking about examples while we're going through this. So, first thing we're going to talk about is Batman Snow. It came out in 2005, written by Dan Curtis Johnson and J.H. Williams III. And it's one of those weird little 5-issue runs that most people either missed or kind of forgot about. But it did stick with me because it's not only really a freeze story, well, not entirely. It's a story about Batman trying to do things efficiently, differently. He's forming a team, running the numbers, trying to make crime fighting cleaner, streamlined, and organized. But the world doesn't run on logic. Gotham sure as hell doesn't run on logic, as we all know. The art reflects that stark shadows, like a cold palette. Everything feels too clean, too ordered. It's like the book is telling you something is going to snap. Freeze, meanwhile, is out there in a trench coat, staring down in a microscope, mourning the woman the world forgot about. His villain origin is scientific, but his tragedy is really emotional. And the collision. Batman trying to control everything, Freeze being driven by something he can't, feels sharper when snow starts falling. It's not loud, it's not explosive, it's brittle when you think about it. You don't read Batman Snow, you crack through it page by page like black ice under your boots. It's definitely something you should think about before running a campaign when it comes to snow and things like that. Then we've got Batman SubZero from 1998, the animated movie. It gets overshadowed by Mask of the Phantasm, and takes all the oxygen out of the room. But SubZero is really worth revisiting if you have a chance to pick it up or find it somewhere streaming. There's something about Victor Freeze in the animation that lands heavier. Maybe it's Michael Azara's voice. I don't know the way he was portrayed it. Maybe it's that simple human idea of one man trying to keep a promise to someone he can't talk to anymore. Tragic. Freeze isn't really evil in SubZero. He's broken. He's grieving. He's doing the only thing he knows how to do: control conditions, extend her life, beat death by subtraction. The underwater lab, the frozen tanks, the sterile quiet of it all, it's a love story, but not the warm kind, not the kind that ends in embrace. More like a photo album that's been left in the snow. Even the moments with Batman and Robin feel kind of distant. They're not solving the problem, they're just trying to survive it. And isn't that what winter does? It shifts the stakes. You're trying to fix things, start trying to make it through the night when it comes to snow. And then there's another little comic book series that most people often forget about too that's quite interesting. Final Night. A crossover from 1996. The sun dies and the earth starts to freeze over. It kind of reminds me of one of the Twilight Zone episodes when it was the sun was getting closer to the earth was getting closer to the sun, and the characters were getting hotter and hotter and everything was starting to burn. And then meanwhile, at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, the earth was getting further and further away from the sun and everything was starting to freeze and snow and everything. So it reminds me of that. But now, most of the story is cosmic with Green Lanterns, Parallax Solar, science fiction stuff, blah, blah, blah. But the Gotham pieces, those are different. Because while everyone's out there trying to figure out how to fix the situation, we got Bruce still here, on Earth. He doesn't fly into the sky to reignite the sun. He doesn't try to punch his way out of the situation. He sets up shelters, checks in on hospitals, lights oil drums in alleyways so people without homes do not freeze to death. There's this moment, I think it's in one of the tie-in issues, where he wraps his coat around a man too weak to get up. Doesn't say anything, he just does it because that's the right thing to do. It's easy to forget with all the back gadgets and the prep time memes that Bruce Wayne is just a man in the city that will not stop bleeding. He's trying to save his city. That's his goal. But in Final Night, Gotham's pain becomes universal. Everybody's hurting, everybody's afraid, and Batman doesn't retreat into the shadows. He steps closer to the fire and shows his true self. That's the most human thing I've ever seen him do in comics, to be honest, if you think about it. So let's slow this down now. Why does cold work so well? Why does snow make Gotham feel more Gothamy? Is that a word? Gothamy? It's the way it alters the tempo. Gunfights are muffled, footsteps are covers, and vision is distorted due to the snow. You can't chase someone around the rooftops like you used to. Everything is slick and risky. The same city becomes treacherous, not only because it's changed, because the cold reveals its edges. You know what I mean? The aching in your hands, the kind of night where your coat doesn't help you anymore. Snow quiets the city, but it also exposes it in a sense. Every broken pipe, every cracked window, every grudge that's been stewing behind closed doors. When the heat cuts out, when the supplies run low, people show their real faces. And narratively, that's kind of gold. For comics, for games, for any type of story that wants to feel raw, this works out really well. Now imagine this. You're running the DC Heroes game or Batman the role-playing game or whatever your superhero game is, your choice, but we're focusing here on DC Heroes and Batman the role-playing game. And it's just some street-level game. So you drop down into a snowstorm onto your players, one that they didn't plan for or even think about, one that strands them in a corner of Gotham they barely know. The power grid is down, communications are spotty, and there's a killer out there using the storm as the cover. Suddenly, gadgets don't matter anymore. The stats don't matter. What matters is who they chose to protect, who they trust, what risks they'll take when there's no cavalry coming for them. And that's when it clicks. That's when Gotham breathes on its own. It's this wonderful environment of just white, puffy snow all over the place. And your heroes are stuck somewhere without most of the things that they can use because the grid's down, there's no power, and they have only what they have on them to protect themselves and move around from place to place. So, how does that campaign seem to you? So, yeah. When Gotham freezes it over, it's not just the streets that change, it's the choices. The atmosphere pulls everything inward. The city turns quiet and cruel and strangely intimate. And if you're rewatching SubZero or reading Batman Snow or flipping through Final Night, let yourself sit with that. Don't rush it. Let the cold settle in and let you just absorb yourself into the story. Because under all those capes and cowls and chaos, Gotham is just a place where people are trying to keep warm. One coat, one shelter, and one fire at a time. What do you think? How would this work in your campaign? Let that sit with you for a while. Think about it. How the weather would affect your game. Will it change anything in your game, or do you think your players would be just like, meh, it's just snow on the ground. I don't care. Or they'd be like, oh crap, what are we going to do now? Think about that.